If you hear this after performing a magic trick, you probably did something wrong.
Now I almost understand how the trick is done. Do you?
Yesterday, I watched Jesse Eisenberg's interview on the Jimmy Fallon Tonight Show, where he was promoting the upcoming release of his new movie, Now You See Me and Now You Don't. During the interview, he performed a card trick that, from a magician perspective, there were some common beginner mistakes that led into a confusing moment by the end of it. The good news is that they are all very easy to fix. So in today's video, we're going to break down what happened to identify the issues and explore the ways on how to avoid them, and also the small adjustments we can potentially implement to make our magic more impactful and stronger. But just before we get there, with this video, I'm not saying that there's only one correct way to perform magic. I know Jesse is an actor and not a professional magician, but the mistakes he did are the same ones as many of us, including myself, have made at some point during our learning process. So I personally think identifying and analyzing those mistakes can benefit both of us. So Jesse, if you ever see this video, I have nothing personal against you. This is just purely educational. So with that being said, let's get into it.
I want to try it. I want to try it to you.
I want to try
the show. I want to try the same trick. Yeah.
Not easily tricked.
Yeah. And listen, in the movie, we play like the world's greatest magician, and I am maybe the world's worst magician, but I can act like I'm a good magician.
Yes,
but what I'm about to do now is not that. What I'm about to do now is bad magic, okay? But I'm just going to try. Is that okay?
Yes, that's why I love
This is not a setup. This is like me just doing something I did for a child.
You don't have to do this. I love that you're doing this.
I'd like to apologize nonetheless.
Okay.
All right. Okay.
So here he already introduced this story, which I think is made up because I don't think he is going with a random card folded in his shoe, but this is okay. You can make up whatever story you want to introduce a trick. But what he's doing already here is a very common mistake that I see a lot of beginners and even professionals do, which is to downplay the magic you're about to perform by saying like, the magic I'm about to perform is very bad, or I'm gonna try, or I perform this for kids. You know, this does not bring anything good from my point of view to the audience, unless it is justified or it has something to do by the end or the, let's say, the vibe of the trick. This is not something that will bring any value. So I would recommend you to totally avoid it, because this will be the equivalent of, for example, going to somebody you appreciate and say, look, I give you this gift that I have for you. It's very cheap and it's broken, but I hope you like it. You know, it's good that you're bringing it, but by introducing it this way, it makes it feel like, okay, so why you give it to me? So I would recommend you, whenever you perform a trick, just feel proud of what you're about to perform and be cool with it. I know what he's doing it because he did not practice this as much and does not feel secure and confident about if it's gonna work. And in this way, he tries to, let's say, buy himself the option that in case it doesn't work, well, I already told you, it's a very bad magic. And this could make you feel comfortable in the beginning, but believe me, in the end, it does not bring anything good. So again, if you don't want to sell it like, here, I'm about to perform the best trick, it's not needed, but just go like, look, I'm about to perform a trick that I learned recently. And that's it. You know, you don't have to downplay it or, you know, just try to sell it as the best thing you ever saw in your life. So let's continue.
Okay, we're gonna play a little game called Throw It Away, okay?
Throw it away.
Yeah, so, okay, first, red or black? Oh, I'm thinking of a card. Red or black?
Okay.
Here we are seeing now more clearly that he did not practice this as much because he's forgetting what he has to say. So if you are in this stage where you have to pause and recap what you have to do, this means that you require a lot more practice. Of course, again, he's not a magician, but he's just performing a trick that most likely he just performed 3 or 4 times, and he's even have to think what he has to say. Sometimes you can just, let's say, get blocked, and that's normal. But in this situation, the fact that he used these gestures and, you know, he goes in this kind of a rush makes me think that he either does not feel comfortable or he hasn't practiced it as much, so he can just say it without even thinking about it. So you will see that later, this rushness that he has and the fact that he does not introduce what the dynamic is about and all the information that is needed for us to understand what it's about to happen and how it's going to be concluding will lead into this confusing situation that we'll see in the end. So let's see what happens next.
You're thinking of a card, and I'll say red.
Red. Okay, great. So we'll throw away red. Okay, great. Now, do you want a face card or do you want numbers cards?
Numbers card.
Numbers cards? Okay, great. We'll throw those away too. And so...
Okay, so far we're seeing that he's using what's known as the magician choice, where doesn't matter what the spectator said, you always refuse or keep whatever that is in your convenience. So you can narrow down, for example, probably into one card, as he already made us know in the context. But here again, we need to know why we're refusing it. We don't want people to think, why are you eliminating this? So it's very important, again, to introduce the dynamic. And for this, you need to practice and see which are the problems that are arising from doing this kind of dynamic so you can correct it and give the proper information for us to understand why you're eliminating it. Something very good that he could have done here would be like, well, we're going to play a game that is called Thrown Away. So whatever you say will be thrown away or eliminated. So here, people will not be asking themselves, okay, but why you're throwing it away? So if you're using the magician's choice, it is very important for you to build a proper strategy, because as we will see later, we don't want ended up people thinking that we were using magician's choice. So let's keep going.
So, you want a black face card. Do you want king or jack?
Jack.
You want, really?
Yes.
Okay, so throw jack away. So what are you left with?
Black. King?
Yes. Okay, it was so much better at the school. 1 second.
Okay, well, here before we get into the end, already see some other issues here. First, you are making the spectator to think about what happened, meaning like he's making him memorize what he have eliminated, and this already adds up to the confusion that we'll be creating in the end. So it's very important here to take a pause, to build the tension you need to then have the big release whenever the card gets revealed. And also, it is recommended, or I would recommend, to recap on what just happened, so we make sure that this impossibility that he was choosing all the time the right things until we narrow down to one card, it's present. So here, something he could have done is like, okay, we eliminated so far black, blah, 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 and numbers, figures, and we got into the king, right? So once this is confirmed, there's nothing else to recap or think about from the spectator side, so you can just create the tension and make the big reveal. But here it's also rushing the ending, so it's going like to the shoe very quick, or like he's struggling with it, and this is not adding anything good to the revealing. So it's creating this anticlimax that we will see in the end. So recommendation, just get it clear, create this impossibility feeling by recapping, and also you're about to create a prediction. So why you don't narrow down till the very last piece and get to one card specifically, because he just got into a king, black king, which is a bit ambiguous, and it also adding up to this confusing moment that we will see now in the end.
Come on, this is what I'm talking about. This is. That's a good trick.
It's a very good trick.
That's a great trick.
Thanks.
I kind of almost understand how the trick is done.
Do you?
I think so.
Do you want to tell me?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it.
Well,
Okay, well, before we get into this debate or explanation, this is what you want to avoid whenever you do magic. Of course, we are not perfect. You can do a mistake, you can flash it, or you can just miss part of the tricks that will lead spectators to see how it's done, or to at least make them think on how it's done. And this is not good. It is very important to always be aware of this. And the last thing I would recommend you is, if this happens to you, if the spectator wants to, let's say, let everybody knows that that he knows or she knows how the trick was done, do not give them the option to explain it or enter into a debate where he will bring ideas that maybe some people is thinking or some other don't, and then you like debate them. So this is not good. This does not bring any value to the magical experience with you. So if you ever get into this situation, the last thing you want to do is to enter into this debate that he's about to get into. Of course, he's not a magician. They're in an interview, but in terms of magic, that's the last thing you want to happen in your show. So if this situation ever happens to you, something you could do is to politely or kindly or in a funny way, just cut this debate that you're about to get into. Something I would do, for example, is that somebody says that, oh, I know how you did it, is to say like, okay, that's good. So you're a smart person. So let's keep the secret and keep going. Something like this. There's many ways in you can get out from this kind of situations, and only the experience of the practice will make you stronger in front of this kind of situations. So if you ever get into the situation, just, politely cut it and continue with what you're doing, because it will not bring any good. So let's see what happened next.
You're throwing away anything that, no matter what I say, you're going to...
No, I threw away everything. First you said black or red, you said red. I said, okay, throw it away. Then you said picture cards or number cards. And you said numbers, I threw them away.
Yeah, you're right.
And then I said king or jack, and you said jack, I threw that away.
What?
Yeah.
I thought you were just throwing away opposite of anything that was it.
He already understood that he was using magician's choice, even though Jimmy doesn't know what a magician's choice is. But he thinks this because it comes to the error we pointed out before, that we did not introduce the dynamic that they're about to get into or to play with. So here it's very important to eliminate these potential questions that the spectators can think to themselves, is to introduce the dynamic and give all the information so they can understand when the magic happens that none of the ideas or the questions they will have make any sense, because it was clear since the beginning. Here, I must say, he was very, very lucky, because all the choices that they were eliminating were the right ones to narrow down into the king. So in this case, he could enter into this debate and win it because he was very lucky, and Jimmy was basically getting all, let's say, the right choices to eliminate. But I would like to know what would have happened if there's an inconsistency on eliminating or keeping, and them getting into this debate, because probably he will not have had any other way to go, and revealing that he was using basically magician's choice. So if you ever use magician's choice, always introduce the dynamic, give all the info, and recap if needed, so we don't get the spectators to get you in this kind of situations. So let's see how it finished.
No, I was doing a real good trick.
So here we see another inconsistency. Now it's not a bad trick anymore. Now it's a great trick, and he defends it as such. And that's what I was talking about. If you introduce it as a bad trick, just go with it. Even though I don't recommend you to do it, if you go with this idea, go with this till the end. Because now he just, for some reason, just changing it, because he now feels relaxed and he saw that it worked. Somehow it worked. And now he feels confident, and now he defends it as such. So again, do not introduce tricks as bad, because there's no bad tricks. There's only bad presentations. So I don't do that, and if you do it, justify it, and if so, go for it till the end. Do not change it now because you feel relaxed and it worked. So let's see how it continues.
Do you have multiple cards?
No.
In your other shoe?
No. Oh, theoretically I could have one other card, which would be...
So here we see an inconsistency that naturally led Jimmy Fallon to think that he has many other cards with him, or maybe on the other shoe. And he's justifying by saying, no, but I told you. In the story he said, he already mentioned that he had a folded card in his shoe. But the problem is that you are not narrowing down specifically enough to one unique card. You got into Black Kings. And also, you did not mention in which shoe you had it. Of course, you pointed out, but even though you were pointing it out into the wrong shoe then. I think maybe he has the King of Spades into the other shoe. And for some reason, he just skipped and just went for the shoe he wanted to. But when you're playing with predictions, because in the end it is a prediction, it is very important if you want to eliminate this kind of questions that you are leading or forcing the person into the thing you want, or that you have multiple predictions around the table, the room, or whatever you are, or with you. It is key to have the prediction in a play that is isolated, or at least visible in the beginning. Something that he could have done, for example, is to have a paper folded in front of Jimmy, and inside of it written down the prediction, or your car is on my right shoe in this case. And this, even though you can have multiple options in the same shoe, this already puts a precedent that will make it a lot harder for spectators to think about the idea that you have other predictions around you. Because this paper was introduced, so nobody changed it, nobody touched it, and it's already pointing out the only possible way, which was the right shoe. Then you can the right shoe, you can have your other systems to get multiple cars there. So this could have been a good idea to eliminate any of these thoughts. So Jimmy would have probably never asked this because the paper would have been already there and pointing to the only option that was possible, the right shoe. If you are ever playing with predictions, make very clear that whatever you reveal the prediction, it is an isolated place that nobody touched and that is at least on the view or is presented or introduced before anything happens. Otherwise, you will easily get people thinking that you either has forced their choice or that you have many predictions around that you could have open depending on what the result was.
It's a fantastic trick. I love it. Thank you. You always surprise me every time you come on the show and do.
Of course, now Jimmy is trying to fix it, basically because he was the one breaking this magical vibe. But I think even though he did, he was not doing it on purpose. I think the fact that he already expressed that he knew how it's done, it's because I think he felt that everybody who was watching this was having the same feeling. Even though he did it, I think everybody was thinking about it. And it's good that they enter in the end into this debate because he had the chance to bring all the info that was missing in the beginning of the trick. So this was a trick. We saw the different inconsistencies and mistakes that I assure you are very easy to fix. And the way to fix them is not only to identify and analyze them, but also by practicing. So it's very important you not only practice in a mirror in your room by yourself, but you also practice by performing it. Not in TV, but performing it to the people you feel comfortable with. So in case you flash or you do a mistake, it's not an issue because they're your friends and they're just supposedly here to help you. And from there, you analyze which are the potential problems you're getting into while performing it in real life, so you can start to see what things you need to adjust or practice a bit more to get the trick a lot stronger and better. So whenever you perform it on TV, you will not commit those mistakes. So that was the analysis. I hope you like it. I hope you learn from it. And if so, please don't forget to give me a like. This will help me a lot. And if you're liking this type of content, consider subscribing. Because in this channel, I will not only providing tutorials and analyzing tricks and performance so we can learn from it, but also many other content related to performing and magic that I'm sure you'll be interested in. So now if you want to keep learning with me, I'm letting you hear these super cool tutorials that I'm sure you will enjoy. And again, thank you so much for watching this video till the end, and I hope to see you in the next one.